The orbital maintenance bay of Station Hyperion-7 thrummed with the low hum of fusion drives idling in repair cradles, their hulls scarred by asteroid debris and the relentless grind of deep space patrols. Beyond the reinforced viewports, the void stretched infinite, punctuated by the fragile glow of Earth's distant limb, a sapphire beacon in the black. But inside Bay 14, amid the clutter of tool carts and flickering diagnostic hollows, the atmosphere was thicker than coolant vapor. Harsh laughter cut through the din, cruel, echoing off the alloy bulkheads like shrapnel from a misfired railgun. Leonardo Greco DiCaprio wiped sweat from his brow, his grease-streaked hands leaving a dark smear across his forehead. A third-class engineer, he'd spent 18 years coaxing life from the station's labyrinthine guts, patching plasma leaks, realigning grav plates, and whispering diagnostics to AIs that sometimes forgot their own error codes. His coveralls hung loose on a frame hardened by labor, scarred palms telling tales of near misses with live wires and venting gases. To the 400,000 souls aboard Hyperion-7, the jewel of the United Stellar Alliance, Leonardo was a ghost in the machine, unseen until something broke. What he couldn't see coming was the trap being sprung, a vicious jest hatched by a cadre of cocky ensigns who'd mistaken his quiet competence for weakness. It started with a glitch. During a routine overhaul of the ensign quarters power grid, Leonardo had spotted a faulty relay that could have fried half a deck. He'd fixed it mid-shift, saving their hides without a word of thanks. Ensign Voss, no relation to the brass, just a sharp-tongued navigator fresh from the academy, had seethed at being upstaged. "That grease monkey thinks he's one of us," she'd muttered to her clique over replicated synth whiskey in the officer's wreck. The plan formed in a haze of bruised egos, a blind date, rigged for maximum embarrassment. Not with a fellow human, but a Vexari envoy, a sleek, avian species from the Orion arm, their iridescent feathers and telepathic rapport making them the epitome of exotic allure in Alliance society. Interspecies pairings were still taboo enough to fuel Hollywood scandals, and pairing the station's dirtiest wrench-turner with one, pure comedy in their eyes. The bait arrived via encrypted comm, a message from the diplomatic liaison office, claiming a Vexari xenobiologist named Ilara had heard of Leonardo's pre-alliance tinkering days at the Lunatech Collective. It referenced his unpublished thesis on quantum flux stabilizers, work he'd shelved when his sister fell to void syndrome, draining his savings on black-market neural grafts. For 3 hours, he stared at the screen, heart pounding. Trick or not, it stirred the embers of a life before the shafts and the solitude. He replied yes, agreeing to meet at the Stellar Drift Cantina, the station's crown jewel of a lounge, with its panoramic dome overlooking the asteroid belts. The cantina was a world apart from Bay 14. Suspended on the outer ring, its ceiling shimmered with real-time projections of swirling nebulae, casting ethereal blues and purples across tables of polished comatise. Patrons, diplomats in flowing robes, captains in crisp uniforms, sipped nebula-infused elixirs from levitating glasses. Leonardo lingered at the entrance, his one clean tunic feeling like a pauper's rags. The host, a multi-limbed Arcturan with olfactory sensors twitching in disdain, scanned his ID twice before seating him in a shadowed alcove, behind a cascade of holographic auroras. The ensigns lurked at a corner booth, their wrist cams capturing every awkward fidget for the station's shadownet. Kira narrated in hushed glee, "Watch the rube squirm when the bird lady ghosts him." They clinked glasses, toasting the impending farce. Ilara, of course, was a fabrication, a holographic projector they'd bribed a shady fixer to deploy for a fleeting illusion before vanishing. Then the doors parted, and the cantina's ambient chatter died like a stalled engine. Fleet Admiral Thorne Voss strode in, her presence a gravitational pull. Human, but transformed by neural implants and gene splices from her Alpha Centauri heritage. Taller than most at 6'4", with eyes augmented to pierce sensor fog, and a uniform adorned with quantum lattice insignia from campaigns that had redrawn stellar maps. She'd crushed the Thulian swarm at Vega's edge, her strategies saving the Alliance from collapse. At 42, she was a legend, her voice a calibrated weapon that could rally fleets or silence rooms. Voss had been in the VIP alcove, negotiating Vexari trade pacts, when her implants intercepted the ensign's whispers, ultrasonic chatter filters catching every barbed word. She'd risen mid-sentence, excused herself with a nod to her Vexari counterpart, and entered the main floor alone. Her aide, a stoic Krell warrior named Jax, had protested, but she'd waved him back. This demanded personal reckoning. Leonardo half stood as she approached, pulse racing. "Admiral Voss, there must be a mistake, I'm just—" "Mr. DiCaprio," she said, her tone smooth as hull plating, seating herself with effortless authority. "No mistake. I believe we're expected." The alcove's privacy field flickered on at her gesture, but not before the ensign's booth erupted in stunned silence. Kira's glass slipped, shattering on the floor in a spray of shards and liquor. Leonardo blinked, brain rebooting. "You heard about the researcher?" Voss's augmented eyes, flecked with data overlays only she could see, met his. "I heard everything. Your date was a ploy by those fine officers to remind you of your place. Instead, they've reminded me of mine." She signaled the server, a jittery android. 2 shots of Rigel fire aged in 0G to him. "Unless you'd rather Nebula do." He shook his head, still dazed. Around them the cantina froze. A Vexari diplomat's wings folding in curiosity, a merchant's fork hovering midair. The holographic auroras seemed to pulse slower, as if the stars themselves watched. "Tell me about your lunathesis," Voss prompted, leaning in. "The flux stabilizers, your adaptive damping fields. I reviewed it during a long patrol. It's not just theory. It's the backbone of our current warp coils." "You read my work," Leonardo's voice cracked. "That was 15 years back. Obsolete now with the new alloy matrices." "Obsolete," Voss arched a brow, her implants humming faintly. "Last cycle, during the Omicron skirmish, my flagship's drive destabilized mid-jump. The chief tech jury-rigged a fix using your damping variant. Stabilized a cascade that would have ripped us into the warp stream. 2,000 crew, Mr. DiCaprio. Your obsolete idea kept them breathing." The drinks arrived, glowing with inner fire. She raised hers. "To the unseen hands that hold the stars in place." As they sipped, Voss opened up, not as the Iron Admiral of Holovids, but as a woman who'd clawed her way from a frontier outpost, mocked for her reckless intuitions. She spoke of her first command, a battered scout ship where the engine crew, grunts like him, taught her that stars didn't run on simulations but on sweat and instinct. "There was this tech, Harlan Reyes. He died sealing a hull breach during the Epsilon outbreak. Told me as the vacuum pulled, 'Admiral, machines don't judge, people do. Fix that first.'" Leonardo's throat tightened. Nearby tables eavesdropped shamelessly. Even the Arcturan host lingered, sensors whirring. "You know, Admiral," Voss continued, "my implants picked up their whole scheme, every laugh, every slight." Kira tried to bolt, but Voss's gaze pinned her. "Ensign Voss." "Sit," the words carried via the cantina's comnet, laced with command protocols. "We're not done." She turned back to Leonardo, expression softening. "Your daily fixes, they're not drudgery. Remember the grav flux anomaly last month? Engineering chased ghosts for days. You traced it to a harmonic in the core relays, in 20 minutes. Station logs say it prevented a spinout that could have slingshotted us into the belt. 400,000 lives, because you listened to the hum." Leonardo frowned. "Anyone could have." "No," Voss stood, her height commanding the room. "Attention, everyone, especially the booth by the Aurora." The cantina hushed, projections dimming. 2 cycles ago, the Nexus array collapsed. Trillions in damage, supply lines severed. The experts puzzled for weeks. Solution: a field text note on thermal bleed, ignored until it was almost too late. She faced the ensigns. "You lot forgot. No warp drive sings without tuners like him. Your nav plots, useless without stable power. Lives hang on wrenches, not epaulets. Kira stammered, "Admiral, it was just a joke." Voss's voice sharpened, implants flaring subtly. Humor at the expense of the backbone. Report to Engineering Chief Harlan at 400 tomorrow. 30 shifts in the bays. Learn the rhythm. But our duties. Reassigned. I cleared it with command. They suggested 15 shifts. I doubled it. The ensigns deflated, slinking out as the cantina murmured. Voss returned to Leonardo. "Dinner. And your flux ideas, I need input on a prototype drive." The meal unfolded like a dream. Voss shared tailies, a botched first contact with bioluminescent entities that left her ship glowing for weeks, her passion for ancient Terran puzzles like quantum chess variants. Leonardo relaxed, recounting his shaft-side sleuthing, solving murders of malfunctioning systems, even his hidden sketches for a singularity-harnessing engine. "You've cracked it," Voss said, eyes widening at his napkin diagram. "Oscillating fields to tame the event horizon. We've modeled that for decades." As night cycle deepened, patrons approached. A Krell engineer seeking advice on shield harmonics, a Vexari querying odd vibrations in their shuttle. Leonardo's insights flowed, his voice gaining strength. At closing, Voss bowed, a rare alliance salute. "Join my R&D team. Commission labs the works." He paused then, "Grateful, Admiral, but I'm needed here. The station's pulse, I feel it, and tonight, folks might start seeing us differently." Her laugh was genuine, warm. "Then weekly briefings, over drinks, help me redesign these tube-crawling nightmares." "I'd be honored." Word spread like a solar flare. By Alpha Shift, mechanics got corridor nods. Ensigns reported humbled. The prank's wreckage birthed the Greco Initiative, mandatory maintenance rotations for all officers, fostering a fleet where insight trumped insignia. Months on, dinners evolved into cross-deck salons. Chief Harlan's grit, Jax's tactical edge, even a reformed Kira, now a bridge savant who heard the ship's needs. Voss announced the initiative's fleet-wide rollout. The Greco Protocol, respect as protocol. Leonardo demurred further honors, training successors. A kid from the outer rims with his ear for machines. Years later, he'd helmed the USS Harmony, pioneering rift jumps with napkin-borne tech, crewed by equals across ranks and species. But that night back in quarters, his team awaited, 40 techs, tools down. Chief Harlan grumbled, "Proud kid, you stayed for us." "Family," Leonardo said. Changes rippled, shared mess halls, joint sims. Ensigns learned humility in the dark. Officers gained wisdom from the depths. In her ready room, Voss gazed at stars, recalling rays. "One kindness echoes," she murmured to Jax. "We've amplified it." Below, Leonardo and Kira, toolkit in hand, descended a conduit. "Feel the flow," he taught, "like veins in a body." "I do," she whispered. "We're the blood." Efficiency soared, not from tech but unity. The joke's ashes forged a stronger alliance, where a mechanic's dignity illuminated the void. In the grand stellar weave, Hyperion-7 orbited on, not flawless, but alive with wonder, bound by hands that built, respected, and dreamed among the stars.